Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we have something exciting for you. This is our very first Starcraft battle report. Now I am recording this before painting any of these miniatures and I'm sure not everybody will like that, but the minis do look great in their bare plastic. We've got colored plastic blue here for the Terran and this lovely yellow goldish for the Protoss. We'll be playing a 1,000 point game to show off some of the abilities and rules and help get people a little more acclimated with the Starcraft Miniatures games rule set. Hopefully you all enjoy it. If you have feedback, please let me know below. This will be the first of hopefully 3 videos using unpainted miniatures. Eventually, the next series of videos will be with painted minis as I start to get things painted, but I'm a bit of a slow painter and I wanted to get these out nice and quick, and I wanted to show off the rule set and the new miniatures that I just picked up at Adepticon. This is before release of the actual miniatures. They are currently on pre-order from Archon's website and GameFound, so if you haven't done a pre-order, go ahead and get some. I'm still waiting on my pre-order minis. I was luckily able to pick these up at Adepticon, and I cannot wait to get them on the table and rolling some dice. So let's go through the lists and talk about what we can expect from each faction today. Again, this is a skirmish match, so we are playing 1,000 minerals. Here in the blue corner, we have the Terran. Now this is a Raynor's Raiders faction. They've taken Factory, Barracks Proxy, and Orbital Command as their tactical cards. And for the units, we have a Goliath. This one has been upgraded with Haywire missiles to have an anti-armor attack. We have a squad of Raynor's Raiders Marines. Obviously, these are a little harder to tell apart from the regular Marines, which are over here. But the Raynor's Raiders have their bayonets because I did not upgrade the regular Marines with bayonets. And the regular Marines have the rocket launcher and Ag 12 back here. So I'll be able to tell them apart. Hopefully I can make it clear for everybody watching at home. The Marines have only taken the weapon upgrades and nothing else. We have a unit of 2 Marauders back here. They've taken the Veteran of Tarsonis upgrade, so they'll have better armor when standing on objectives. And then back here we have a squad of 3 Medics. They have taken the Stabilizer Med Packs upgrade, which allows them to count as one extra medic for healing purposes, and the A13 Flash Grenade Launcher, so their optical flare ability has longer range. And then we also just have the Point Defense Drone, obviously not a unit, but it is an important part of the team, especially as we are playing Raynor's Raiders. That brings us to 1,000 minerals bang on and 100 gas bang on. And this is a 6 supply, 5 drop team, and we will see how they fare against the Protoss. And here in the yellow corner, we have the Protoss. This is a Khalai sub-faction. For their tactical cards, they have brought an Observer, a Twilight Council, and a Forge. Now this is 95 gas, there's 5 gas floating. Couldn't quite make it fit, but we do have exactly 1,000 minerals. So we have the Pylon, which of course, like the Point Defense Drone, is not a unit, doesn't take anything up, but is very important for the sub-faction. We have taken a Stalker. Now this Stalker has taken the Path of Shadows upgrade, so it can make itself hidden for 1 psi if it decides to use it. We've taken 3 Zealots. Now these have leg enhancements and we stand as 1, so they're a little bit on the expensive side, but leg enhancements can be very useful for a melee unit. We've got a squad of 4 Adepts over here. They've taken both Glaive Strike and Resonating Glaives, so they are a little bit more killy than they would be otherwise. We have Artanis himself, probably my favorite hero from the current bunch, but we'll see how he performs in today's mission. And we have a squad of sentries. They've taken both upgrades, both these solid field projectors for that ability to put out the second force field, and hallucination, which will give them some utility as a nice defensive bonus. Again, this is 1,000 points flat, so both teams are playing with the same amount of minerals. Now here we are after setup. Our map today is Char Plains. We have Protoss taking the red side over here. You can see the edge of their deployment zone here with this marker, and Terran taking the blue side over here with their deployment zone edging here to the corner of the table. In this mission, there are 3 objectives, 1 aligned with the Protoss over here, 1 neutrally aligned here, number 5, and 1 aligned with the Terran over here. So a little bit spread out and not exactly next to the deployment zones. Our mission today is Supply Drop. This is going to be a 4 supply starting mission with only +1 every turn, and there are only 4 turns to the game. In this mission, all markers start as deactivated, and we'll flip those over before the game begins. At the start of each round, randomly determine one deactivated marker, 1, 2, or 5, and flip it back to its activated side. So you get VP equal to enemy supplies destroyed, which is pretty normal for all missions. And then from the start of the second round, for each activated controlled mission marker, you gain VPs equal to the game round number in which it was activated, and then you remove it. So you can only score it once, and then it's worth as many VPs as the turn that it showed up on. So the one that shows up on turn 2 will be worth 2, the one on turn 3 will be worth 3, and the one on turn 4 will be 4. So there is a bit of an incentive to wait for those later ones and not overly commit to an early objective. Additionally, at any point, if a player is leading by 8 or more VPs, the game immediately ends. It's a bit of a slaughter rule, and honestly, it'd be pretty hard to get to +8. You'd have to almost completely wipe the opponent's team out and take 2 mission objectives almost immediately. So pretty difficult. I don't think that one will come up for this mission. Now, as far as pregame is concerned, that is basically it. There is no setup or anything. All units walk on, so we're going to roll off for the first mission marker. Protoss will be using the red dice, and Terran will be using the blue dice. Terran wins the roll-off. They get to choose whether or not they wish to have the first turn marker. And here on the first turn, where both teams are going to be bringing in the same number of supply, and there will probably not be much melee involved, they will choose to give the first turn marker to the Protoss and hope to get a little bit of extra information. The Protoss is going to opt to bring on the sentries to begin with. They move 4-7, so we will bring the leading sentry here and simply set up the second one a little further forward. Now we do have some grass here in the middle, which will block some line of sight, give a little bit of cover, but once a unit moves over grass, that grass is removed and no longer is in play, so it's just a little bit of extra blockage for the opening phases of the game. The sentries are going to choose not to use any abilities. There's other abilities I believe might be used later on in the phase, so we want to save the psi energy for the time being. Now, the regular Marines, who are the ever-present all-arounders, are going to bring on towards the middle as well. Commander. Just hoping to maybe do some all-arounder stuff, contest the middle a little bit, and whatnot. And they will also not use an ability right now. No need to use Stim since they've already walked on. For the Protoss, the Adepts will walk on. Now, they get to move 5. They're a little bit faster. So they're going to come on over here and kind of spread out a little bit.
The Templar, march.
And then they're going to use the Observer card for one psi, and they're going to place their token over here. This will give them some options depending on how the Terran comes on, whether they want to transfer over to this side of the board and maybe threaten the middle objective, or if they want to stay over here on this side of the board and protect their own objective 1. For Terran, the unit of medics is going to walk onto the board. You kind of want these models, support type models, out as early as possible in order to start helping out as fast as they can. The Protoss will bring on the Zealots, just walking them on from their edge of the board. And then they will utilize the Forge card to use their leg enhancements, which they have purchased. That's Artanis and not a Zealot, don't worry about that. And this will give them an extra 2-inch move, which is really more of like a 5-inch move as they move forward here and end up behind this grass. Now, before the end of their activation, they will also use the Khalai card to bring down the pylon. Now, the only stipulation here for the pylon's placement is that it has to be more than 10 inches away from enemies, but it's also good because you want it to be more than 12 inches away from these Marines so it doesn't get shot to death immediately. So it'll be put here a little bit. You know, these units can kind of reach Objective 5 easy, they can kind of reach Objective 1 easy. This will give it a little bit of a closer path towards Objective 2. That does mean that for this first round, they've only used 3 of their 4 psi, but that's all they really needed to do, so that's okay. And then the Terran, wanting to get a little bit of board presence, is going to bring the Goliath on. Now this moves 7 inches.
Goliath online.
And that extra bit of movement range and deployment does mean it'll be just within range of the pylon to take some pot shots. Now both players pass, but because the Protoss player will pass first, they do retain the first player token for the assault phase of turn 1. And all they're going to do with that first activation is just run the sentries up a little bit to make sure they're getting the cover that they need, and be done. Now here we have the first shooting attack of the game, and it'll be the Goliath shooting against the pylon over here.
Confirmed.
You got 2 weapons to fire. First, the autocannon, which is 9 shots hitting on 4s with no surge. That'll get 5 hits against the pylon, and the pylon has a 5-up armor save. It'll stop 2 of them and take 3 damage. So 3 damage go into the damage pool. Now technically that does strip off the pylon's shields and take 1 damage to its actual structure, but as we do not really have a way to regen shields or anything like that, we're just going to count everything together. Now the Goliath has a chance to do something massive here. The Haywire missiles that it has been upgraded with are 3 shots hitting on 3s. This is surge armored, so there's a chance that it could take down the pylon right now with a pretty hot roll, but it would have to roll all hits and get everything through. So let's see what happens hitting on 3s. Everything hits, but it's only 1 surge. So one of these is going to go through, and these 2 dice are going to be save rolls from the pylon. It needs to make at least 1 save to not be killed by this Goliath. A 3 and a 4 means all 3 hits go through, and as this is Pierce Armored 3, it takes 9 more damage, and the pylon is destroyed on turn 1. Perhaps a bit too greedy of a location to place it. Now, as that does not have any supply, it doesn't count for victory points or anything. That is just this Goliath finished with its activation. And with that, the Protoss know they won't have any range to any other units this round, so they're going to take the pass action and retain the first player token. Now, because there are no VPs going into round 2, this will be a roll-off anyway, but it's just a good way to show that you might want to take the pass action here before the combat phase in case there's anything you want to do there. Knowing that they won't have anything shooting at them this phase, the Marines are going to take the run action, and they will move 4.
Rock and roll.
And set up incoherency around that unit. This will destroy these bushes that they run through, opening up the space here, but for Terran that's kind of okay because they need the line of sight to shoot anything anyway. And since Protoss has passed, the medics will just run up 4 behind them and keep them company. At the end of turn 1, the Terran have a bit of an advantage in that they were able to kill that pylon with some good dice, but luckily for the Protoss, that's not any victory points down, and they still can walk on the board and use all of their other shenanigans. Now, as this is the end of the rounds, the Adepts can decide now whether or not they want to teleport to the Shade or not, and they are going to take that opportunity to do so right now.
Yes, Executor?
Now, in order to resolve this, the Adepts simply have to be placed in coherency of this, treating it as the leading model, and that gives them a little bit of extra movement. Now, it might look like they're going to be exposed, but remember, in the start of the round, we'll have the movement phase before we have anything else. So these Adepts will get a chance to do something before anything happens. And that is round 1 of supply drop. Now, at the start of round 2, we're going to roll a D3 to see which objective comes in, treating 1 as 1, 2 as 2, and 3 as objective 5 to see which one activates. Number 1, so the only active one right now, is the Protoss's objective over here. And because both players are tied in terms of score, we're going to have a roll-off to see who is first player for round 2. Protoss roll a 5 to the Terran's 3, so they will get the first player token, retaining it for round 2, and having an objective very close to them. So this is going to become a very hotly contested objective, but remember, this is the objective that's worth the least, and overcommitting to this right now might not be the best idea. Let's see how the teams play out in this round. So the unit that will go first are these sentries, and the first leading one is going to move 4 inches up to here, and then set the other one up in coherency just here. Now, objective controlling range in Starcraft is 3 inches, so they're now within 3 inches of this marker and controlling it, or they will be at the end of the round if more supply comes near it, if more supply doesn't come near it, etc., etc. Now, another important part of this positioning is that these models are about 10.5 inches from this corner of the board. We know that Terran have the barracks proxy, which allows them to bring models on from a board edge that is not their own by using the card. And this positioning prevents the Terran from coming in anywhere along this side, all the way basically up to this point of this edge of the board. That knocks out a whole bunch of space that the proxy can't happen. However, Terran do still have plenty of movement tricks. Raiders roll, ready for pickup, will potentially give them the capacity to come here and contest this objective, but that'll really depend on what they want to do. Also, as part of their movement, this high grass was removed. Now, at this point, they may wish to pop their Guardian Shield to help keep themselves a little bit safer, but given the volume of fire of both the Goliath and the Marines on the board, it's not likely to do a huge amount. And also, the Protoss wants to save their Psi for some future actions and abilities, so they're going to choose not to use it at this point in time. Now, the Terran do have the capacity to get across to that objective, as noted by using some of their movement tools, but it's a little bit dangerous with how fast the Protoss melee can get in range, and considering that either this objective or this objective is going to be the highest scoring one, they don't necessarily need to commit to the objective one at this point in time. So they're just going to take it a little bit slow and move the Goliath up behind these Marines. The Goliath is going to decline to use any abilities, so it'll move right back to the Protoss player's turn. The Zealots are going to move forward 4, getting a little bit of movement out of that. And then they are going to spend the Twilight Council card to do their leg upgrade for another 2 inches of movement. This is going to get them danger close to basically everything in the Terran army. And you can really see how these movement upgrades really affect speed and make units much faster than they might otherwise be. Now, that is one of the 4 cards for Protoss to do that, but this amount of speed is basically blinding at this point in time, and neither the Marines, nor the Goliath, nor the medics really want to be in melee with the Zealots. Now, the Marines are going to stim. That will take 2 damage from them, 2 points of non-lethal damage. This will give them 3 extra inches to their movement, making their base movement 7 inches, which is very fast. They're going to try to skirt around these Zealots and move over here to maybe engage the Adepts and cover this Objective 5. Now, the Adepts have upgraded to a bunch of anti-light, but the Marines are quite killy. I mean, they roll a bunch of dice, and they are very precise, especially now that they have Precision 2 from their Stim upgrade. So they are not an automatic charge from these Zealots. The Zealots will have to roll, looks like, a 4 or higher on the dice if they want to get into the Marines, and then they are further away from the Goliath, for instance. So it's a slightly better position for them, although they do have these 2 points of non-lethal damage. Now, for the next activation, Artanis is going to simply deploy by doing the Place 0 effect from these Adepts. This will take the Adepts off the board, meaning that the supply for the Protoss will be exactly as it was before. But now Artanis is danger close to these Marines and ready to carve them up with his Twilight Blades. The next activation will just be the medics. They will move up 4 to here. That will bring them just within 3 of this unit and then set up. And they will spend the factory card to heal the non-lethal damage that was on the Marines, keeping them a little healthier, though Artanis is still very, very scary for them to deal with. Now, the Protoss have a choice of what they wish to bring on here. They could either bring on the Adepts to kind of replace where they were and brawl with these Marines a little bit, but what they're going to do is choose to bring the Stalker on. Now, the Stalker has move 8 because it's by itself, so it's going to walk to about here, and then it is going to use the Observer card and blink to place 6, so just moving 6 forward and getting its activation token. Now it can use its Surge Armor to help out a little bit against this Goliath, depending on how things go. Now, because the Protoss have some Psi left over, they're going to use the Khalai ability to bring the pylon in once again. Now this has to be brought on more than 10 inches away from enemies. but given that there is still this objective over here, even though we have some zealots about to fight this Goliath, they're going to bring the pylon in over here towards the edge, just to give them a little bit of a forward deploy base over here towards objective 2. Now the Raynor's Raiders are going to come on, and they're going to use the Raiders Roll ability to allow them to stim pack before they come on. So they will come on with 2 points of non-lethal damage, and they'll be using their Rapid Reinforcements ability. So rather than walking on the edge of the board, they're going to come over here and place 10 from any one of these units. However, they cannot be placed within 8 inches of an enemy model. Now they're going to just allow themselves to be set up right behind this unit of medics. This gives them range to both Artanis and the Zealots, allowing them to shoot whichever one doesn't charge first, because again, Protoss will now have the first player token and either shoot or charge before the Terran get to do anything. So this will give them the option to kind of help in either direction. They did take some damage from their stim pack, but hopefully they will be able to survive that. And with that, the Protoss player passes, meaning that the game will move on directly into the assault phase, starting with the Protoss player. Now this is where StarCraft's decision-making becomes a little more complicated. You have 2 melee units, Artanis and the Zealots, that don't necessarily want to be standing out in the open, so they probably want to get a charge off before they go. Now Artanis is a bit tankier. He has as many wounds as 2 Zealots combined, but notably he does not have the light keyword or the armored keyword, so nobody gets surge against him. For this reason, these Zealots are going to try to go first. Now they have to pick a charge target. They get basically an automatic charge against this Goliath. However, it might be better for them to get into some of these Marines because they do have Surge Light on their weapons, and the Marines are a little bit more of a threat. However, that will require a dice roll. The Zealots are 7.5 inches away from either the medics or the regular Marine unit, so with a movement of 4, that does mean they need to roll a 3 or higher to get on range, which is a pretty reasonable roll to get into. And as long as they don't roll a 1, it's not bad. So this is a moment where you have to make a decision whether you want to take a riskier charge or take the more guaranteed charge. They're going to take the slightly riskier charge and try to get into these Marines over here. And so they will get their movement and they will get to roll a d6 to see how extra far they run. They roll 4, which gives them 8 inches of movement, which is plenty to make the charge. Now they cannot end within engagement range of the medics as well. So they will get on in here and start to fight these Marines when they get a chance. That is their activation token. Now the Zealots have reached the Marines with their charge, which means they get their devastating charge. They get impact hits. It is impact 3, 4+, meaning each Zealot generates 3 dice. So we get 9 dice for the devastating charge, hitting on 4s. A fairly average hit. 4 hits go into the Marines. Now they do get their armor save, which is a 5+. They save 2 of them, take 2, which 2 damage will kill a Marine, but the medics will use their life support. This is any phase reaction for 1 command point. So they will burn the orbital command in order to reduce that damage to 0, meaning that while the Zealots are in combat, at the very least, the Marines will not be dead just yet. Now the Raynor's Raiders are going to activate. They're going to shoot their C-14 rifles at Artanis. They would love to shoot at the Zealots because they do have Surge Light, and Artanis is not light. As we discussed, Artanis is a little bit more durable in this situation, but it is still 12 dice hitting on 3s with precision 2. And here's the Raynor's Raiders roll, hitting on 3s. A bit on the subpar side, that is only 6 hits on hitting on 3s, but 2 of these dice with precision do become hits as well. So that'll be 8 hits into Artanis. Now Artanis has the pretty respectable 4-up armor save. Let's see how he does. But also rolling low here, he only makes 2 of them, giving him 6 damage on Artanis. Now with 8 health and 4 shields, he does still have 6 wounds left, so he is very tanky and not anywhere near dead yet. And In this game, there is no reduction in stats for taking damage, so he's hopefully going to just continue brawling around. And that is it for the Raynor's Raiders. Now the Stalker is going to take a shot at the Goliath. This has 4 dice hitting on 3s. It is Surge Armored D3, and of course the Goliath is armored. See how it does. That is 3 hits with a 2 on the D3, so 2 of these are going to go straight through, and the Goliath will get to save against 1 of them. A 4+ is a save from the Goliath, so only 2 go through, but this is a Stalker, so those are 2 damage each, and it'll take 4 damage to its damage pool. Now before the end of the activation, the Stalker is going to use the last Psi for the Protoss to use its upgrade, which is Path of Shadows. It's going to gain Hidden until it performs another action, but of course, it can't perform any more actions this turn. It will simply be hidden for the rest of the turn, meaning that the Goliath cannot countershoot it, keeping that Stalker just a little bit safer. Now it returns to the Terran's turn. The Goliath did indeed want to shoot the Stalker, but is instead going to take some pot shots over here at Artanis, hoping to take him out before he gets that charge in, because Artanis does have very good melee and does still have that devastating charge for impact hits. The Goliath is just outside of 8 inches, or a little outside of 8 inches, so it won't be able to use its underbelly machine gun, but it will be able to use its other weapons. Shooting over here at Artanis, the autocannon has 9 dice hitting on 4s. Only getting 4 hits, so Artanis will roll these on his armor 4+, making 3 out of 4 of them, only taking 1 more damage, bringing him to 7 on him, which means he's got 5 left. Now the Goliath is going to shoot its Haywire missiles. These are armored D3 and they have Pierce armored, so it's much better against shooting, for instance, the Stalker, but with that hidden on there and no other real good target to target these at, it's going to fire the Haywire missiles at Artanis. These still hit on 3s, so chance for some good hits here. 2 hits, a 5 and a 6, means Artanis gets to make 2 more armor saves. And luckily, gets both of them, so he takes no further damage, and that'll be the end of the Goliath's activation for the assault phase. Now Artanis has a similar decision to the Zealots before. He has an automatic charge here to these Marines, which he's very adept at killing, or he can roll a 3+ to get into range of these medics, and that could potentially allow the Protoss to wipe 2 units in one go if the dice go well for them. So he's going to take the slightly longer charge onto the medics. He's going to need to roll a 3+ on his charge dice. And he rolls a 6. Now the important thing here is that he's going to have to stay outside of an inch of both of the other units over here. Now here's a bit of a tip for people who don't play miniature games, if this is one of your first miniature games. There are plenty of these types of devices. This one's a little hard to see because it's see-through, so I'll pull out this one, which I have from my old Kill Team days. These types of devices have measurements across either side. For instance, this one is 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, and 6 inches. And I have this clear blue one, which is a little hard to see, that is 1, 3, 2, 9, and 6. This one I got at the Michigan Grand Tournament for Age of Sigmar. You can find these at a lot of stores online, and some events may hand them out. But the nice thing about these is sometimes you don't want to stick your measuring tape into the middle of a combat like this. So I'm just going to use the 1 inch marker to make sure I'm outside of an inch of both the Raynor's Raiders and the regular Marines. And therefore I can position Artanis and not really have to be worried about nudging other units with the tape measure. So these types of tools are very, very useful. Now because Artanis is terrifying, he has the Impact 6 4+, meaning he gets to roll 6 dice, hitting on 4+s to see if he can do some damage. There's a very narrow chance that he hits all of these and they fail all their saves and he wipes out the medics in one go, but really he's just looking to soften them up so he can be in a good position for next turn. So here's his roll for his devastating hits. He only gets 2, having 4 misses there. And the medics get to try to save twice on 5+. They save 1 and take 1 damage to their damage pool, meaning that no models fall just yet. Now it is going to be the Marines' turn to activate. They really only have one thing to do, which is to shoot these Zealots. Now because they've taken their weapon upgrades, they have a number of dice batches to shoot, First 4 of these are equipped with C-14 rifles, so there will be 8 shots hitting on 3s with Surge D3 light, and these zealots are light. But remember, they did stim pack this turn, so they do also have precision 2. This should be pretty accurate. Let's see how they do. That is all hits, so they didn't end up needing that precision, but only one of them will surge through. So the zealots will get to make these saves. They only save 1, the rest being failures. But because they are engaged with the Marines, they also get to make their evade rolls, meaning they get another shot at all these 5 pluses. And they get another 1 only, meaning they take 6 through. Now here's where the durability of Zealots really shines. They've taken 6 damage, they have 3 shield and 4 HP, meaning that there's 1 Zealot in here on exactly 1 wound remaining. My apologies. There were actually supposed to be 3 more shots because I forgot the rocket launcher is a sidearm and not the actual weapon. So the rocket launcher Marine gets to shoot. These can be affected by precision. It does get all 3 more hits, and the Zealots will get to save against these as well. So 5-up save, fails, and a 5-up evade save, fails all of those as well. So 1 Zealot is removed from the C-14s, and 2 damage goes on to the next one. Now they get to fire their other weapons. The rocket launcher has 4 more dice hitting on 3s. That'll be 3 more hits with 1 miss. And then the Zealots are saving on a 5 and evading on a 5. 1 gets saved, and none get evaded, meaning another Zealot dies to the withering fire of these Marines. And finally, the AG-12. This is Surge Armored for D3, so it does nothing against the light of the Zealots, but it does hit on 3s and can potentially do damage. With 1 hit, there will be 1 save for this final Zealot, which he makes, so there's 1 unwounded Zealot against the rest of these Marines. Now the only unit left to go for the Protoss are these sentries back here. However, the sentries are in a good position. They are already controlling this objective. They aren't in range to shoot anything, so while they could run to get a slightly better position for next turn, they are simply going to pass, or rather, the Protoss player is going to pass, and this will keep them the first player token going into the combat phase, which will be very useful for them. Finally, the medics get a chance to do something, but there's not much for them to do since they're already tied up and they don't have any shooting weapon, so they are simply going to hold or pass. In this case, it doesn't actually matter what they do. Now, in the combat phase, it's very unlikely that the medics are going to kill Artanis, so the Zealot is simply going to take the first attack here against the Marines. Now, the Zealot unit is down to 1 model remaining, but that 1 model is 4 dice hitting on 3s with Surge Light for D3. So there's a pretty decent chance that he can carve up these Marines. Let's see how he does. That is 3 hits with Surge 2, so 2 of these will go directly through. And the Marines get to make 1 5-up save, which they succeed at on a 6, meaning that they take 2 to their damage pool, and the medics have already used all their saving abilities, so they will remove 1 model. Now, the way model removal works in combat is that you first have to prioritize models that are not within engagement range or base to base with a model that's in engagement range. So I could not pull these front miniatures, but that's okay because I just wanted to pull this regular Marine who has no upgrades on him. I'm going to keep around the AG-12 and keep around the missile launcher because they're kind of important for the unit. Now, those Marines will get a chance to pile in and fight, but first the medics are going to go because at this point, why not? Try to get as much damage on Artanis before he completely destroys them. Now, like much of the Terran faction, these medics do not want to be in combat. They have 1 dice each hitting on a 5+. So, impossible to kill Artanis even if everything goes through, but let's see what they can do to maybe soften him up a bit for later on.
Clear.
And that is 3 misses, so no damage goes through onto Artanis. And the medics and the Zealot are both finished with their activations. Speaking of which, it is now Artanis' time to go, and we'll see how brutal he can be. His Twilight Blade's sweep profile gives him 6 dice, hitting on 2s, Surge type light D3 plus 1. Now this is only for 1 damage, so he can only kill the medic unit entirely if he hits with at least 5 of these and they all go through. Let's see how he does. Now he does hit with 5 of them, because the 1 is the only miss. Hitting on 2s is amazing. So 5 will go through, and 3 of them are even surged, so only 2 of these the medics will get a save against. They save on a 5+, and they actually save both of them, meaning that they will take 3 damage, meaning that 2 of these medics will go away. But due to that, they're still around, and they are still tying our Tannis up for at least 1 more turn. And finally, we have this unit of Marines who are just going to make their consolidation to make sure everybody's in combat with this Zealot. Now, much like the medics, these also only have 1 dice hitting on 5s. They did not take the bayonet upgrade, so this is just straight up 5 dice hitting on 5s.
My God, he's wet.
1 goes through, and the Zealot gets to save on a 5+, which he even does. So this Zealot is locked in with this unit of Marines for yet another turn. Now we move on to the end phase, or the scoring and resolution, etc. phase. So the tokens go away. This Stalker is no longer hidden. But importantly, the Protoss score 2 points from destroying this objective. And then both teams are going to score 1 victory point from combat resolution. So the Zealots have been reduced down to 1 model left in the unit, meaning that this Zealot is only worth 1 supply. So the Terran will receive a victory point for that. And the medics have also been brought down to 1, meaning they are worth 0 supply now, meaning that the Protoss will get another 1 victory point for that, bringing the score 2 for the Terran and 3 for the Protoss. And with that, we move into the 3rd round of the game. Now, Terran are the underdog, meaning that they have less victory points than the opponent, so they will automatically be the first player for this round. We only have objective 2 over here and objective 5 over there, so we're going to roll a d6 and do high and low. So a 1, 2, 3, it'll be objective 2, and a 4, 5, 6, it'll be objective 5. It is the one that the Marines are currently standing on, so this objective over here will now be activated. Now this token is directly underneath this Zealot. At the moment, the Zealot is worth 1 supply, and Artanis, due to his commander special rule, is worth 2 supply for purposes of contesting, meaning that there are 3 supply worth of units on the objective. The Terran only have 2 supply worth of stuff over here because the medics are now worth 1. So they're going to have to send a little bit over here to take this objective, as Protoss is very much in the lead right now, and they can't give up 2 objectives in a row. So they're going to have to see how they perform in this turn. At the same time, the Terran can't afford to simply give this objective up, so it'll be up to them to figure out how they want to split their attention between the unactivated objective and the one that is currently being contested. Now, if the Terran did want to use their barracks proxy at this point in time, they would have to use it right now because it has to be the first unit to activate in the movement phase. So if these Marauders did want to come in from a different board edge, they would have to do it now. However, due to the positioning of this pylon, there's not really a good position for them to come in. They could come back and deploy from this far edge and help contest this objective that's already under a lot of pressure. But due to kind of the situation and the amount of combat going on, they're simply going to move in from their board edge. Now the Marauders are just going to walk on 4 from their board edge over here.
Kaboom, baby!
But they are going to burn the barracks card to use Go, 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 and move an extra 2 with the front one, place forward with the back one. Now with a 12-inch range, that does mean they're threatening much more of the board, and this front one at least is going to threaten anything that comes over here to try to contest the objective. So if this Stalker or the Adepts do come on and try to contest it in any capacity, they at least can assist in some way to try to get through there. Now, because these are our armored units and the Stalker is right here with its nice surge armored, they're going to pop the Raynor's Raider's ability to bring the point defense drone down. Now it just has to be within 4 inches of a unit to protect it, so it's just going to pop down right here and hopefully take up a little bit of space. It does use 2 of the 4 cards for Terran here, but that hopefully will put them in a good position for the rest of the round. Now we took all this effort to put this pylon down twice, so the Adepts are going to come out of it.
Glory to the Daylong.
This will put them in a good position to threaten Objective 2 once it turns on next turn. while also allowing them to contribute to the rest of the combat. Now, normally here, the Adepts would like to put down their shade somewhere around here to give a precision 1-out using Psionic Presence. However, the pylon card does stipulate that after coming in from this from the pylon, using it as the edge, that unit can no longer, their unit's activation ends. So they don't get to do anything after their activation, meaning these Adepts are just sitting there. Next, the Terran is going to activate their medic. The one remaining medic is going to activate. First, it is going to heal up the Raynor's Raiders. Now, there's only one medic left in the unit, so normally they would only be able to heal one, but because they did take the upgrade that allows them to count as one extra, that is the Stabilizer med packs, they can heal both the damage on this unit of Raynor's Raiders that they took from their stim pack last turn. And then the medic will simply disengage here behind this unit of Marines and be done. In order to use med pack, it's going to burn the orbital command card, leaving only the factory available, and the Goliath is hurt, so it might use it to heal itself later on. Next, we've got the Stalker. Now, the Stalker moves 8, so it is a very fast unit. Intriguing. And it's just going to come around here, staying outside of 1 inch of these Marines here, and that'll give it good combat to basically everything around here. Now, I'm going to use the Khalai other ability, now that the pylon's already on the board. Bound by the Khala, at the end of the active unit's activation, select one other friendly unit eligible to activate, immediately activate. Allowing the double activation here does mean that the Protoss are very likely to get the first player token at the end of this round and going into next round. So these sentries are just going to move up and consolidate forward. And I forgot to mention, at the end of the Stalkers, before the sentries go, they're going to burn the Observer card to simply use Path of Shadows again, becoming hidden. Now, the hidden will not keep it safe from things that get too close, but it will have to draw in the Goliath and the Marauders closer if they want to shoot it, and the Marauders have already activated. So the Stalker is actually pretty safe until it takes a shot in the assault phase. And then for the Terran activation, they're simply going to hold with these Marines. They're already locked in, they don't want to fall back, and they probably just want to shoot that Zealot, so they're just going to stay right there. That leaves the Protoss with only the Zealot and Artanis to go. Now, this Zealot can't fall back and move because it's currently only 1 supply due to the damage it's taken. It's just going to take 4 actions as well and stay where it's at. Now, the Goliath finally has all the targets in the world that it could possibly want, and it's very tanky, honestly, so it's just going to take this opportunity to make sure it's within 8 of this Zealot over here. Its underbelly machine gun does have pinpoint, so it can shoot in to help those Marines potentially, but other than that, it's in range of basically everything else, so it's going to stay right there. And the final unit for Protoss is going to be Artanis, and he's simply going to move around to here. I am ready. And hopefully go in to charge these units and tie them up a little bit, depending on how things go. This does still leave him within 3 of this objective, so if he wants to stay back there and help contest it, he definitely can. Meaning there's just the Raynor's Raiders left. They're not really going to be able to shoot this Stalker because of the hidden, and they really want to be shooting light things, so they're going to shuffle around and try to get everybody within 12 of at least one of these Adepts over here. Remember, units do not block line of sight, so even though they're going to move right up here next to these Marauders, they are likely not going to actually shoot. And in fact, they're going to try to body block for the Marauders as well, because the Marauders have a very important task of potentially killing the Stalker, depending on how things go. At this point, the Protoss player will pass and take away the first player token, giving them choice of what to do in the assault phase. And this is a very important choice here. Now, Artanis is going to go first, even though there's a lot of juicy things to shoot right now. Artanis does not want to be lit up, so he's going to go ahead and charge against the Raynor's Raiders. He has an automatic charge, but depending on if he rolls high on his charge roll, he might take a slightly different path. So he rolls a 2, and because he moves 7, that is a total of 9 inches. There's plenty of room for him to move around here and stop here. For ire. And he is going to get his impact hits against all these Raynor's Raider Marines. Now, these Raynor's Raiders are way too far away from the medic to get any support from it, so this is simply going to be 6 dice hitting on 4s. A nice average 4 hits on that. And now the Marines will try to save on their 5+. With 1 success and 2 failures, 1 Raynor's Raider is going to go away. Now these don't have any special weapons, so they are all identical. Simply have to pull the one that is not in combat. Now Artanis is going to burn the Twilight Council card, and he is going to use his ability Lightning Dash. After this unit successfully resolves a charge action, it may declare a second charge action against a different enemy unit, ignoring the restriction on charging while engaged. The second devastating charge ability does not trigger a second time. So he's going to make another charge, and he's going to target the Marauders. Now, while this does mean the Raynor's Raiders will be unengaged, it does mean that the Marauders will be tied up, and the Marauders are not great in combat at all, and Artanis will be relatively safe. So here's his charge distance. He rolls a 6. Now, keen-eyed observers might notice that it's going to be difficult for Artanis' base to fit between the wall and these guys. Due to the way the rules are written, there's something called gap clearance rules, which means that a unit of size 1 or 2 can move through a gap up to 1 inch or larger. And this is 1.5 inches, so he will squeeze right on through here, and due to a big 12-inch charge, kind of come around here and tie up the Marauders from this angle. That does mean he can't be shot by anything except perhaps the precision underbelly gun, and that does give him a lot of choice as to what he wants to do later on, and he is very much, it's hard to see here in this shot, but he is threatening objective 2 for next turn over here. Now the Goliath is going to try its best here. It's got a number of targets. It's going to shoot its autocannon at these adepts because it is a high number of dice and it really wants to get in on those. But it's going to shoot its underbelly machine gun at this zealot because it has pinpoint and therefore can shoot into combat. And then it also has its haywire missiles. Now these don't have pinpoint and they're pierce armored, but because it's not close enough to the stalker, there's no good armor target for it to shoot. It will also shoot at the adepts and hopefully try to cut them down a little bit. So first, the autocannon at the adepts. These hit on 4s. All right, that is 5 hits. The adepts save on 5+, so let's see how they do. They do save 3 of them, taking 2 damage. Now they do have 2 shields, so this will just chip off the shields and not actually do damage to them. But again, we're just going to keep counting up on the unit. And then they're going to take 3 haywire shots as well. These hit on 3. All 3 hit, so they will get their 5-up save. They save 1 and take 2. Adepts are 3 hit points each, so there is 1 adept sitting at 1 wound remaining. And finally, it has the underbelly machine gun. Now this has pinpoint, so it can shoot into other combats, and it's going to shoot here to try to kill this zealot, or at least hurt it a little bit. This is 6 dice, hitting on 3s. It does have Surge Light D3, and we'll see if it goes through right now. Ooh, pretty good roll here. It gets 4 hits. 2 of them are surging straight through. Now the Zealot only has 4 HP, so if all these go through, there's a chance it just dies. It gets a 5-up save against these 2. It does stop 1. And then because it's in combat, it gets a 5-up evade against the other hits. And 2 of them are stopped, so only 1 goes through, meaning that this Zealot is surviving against this unit of Marines. And that is the Goliath finished. Now at this point, these adepts are a little bit in the open, and the Raynor's Raiders could light them up, so they don't have any good target to shoot at, so they are simply going to run away and hide behind this wall. So the first one's going to move around here 5 inches, and then the other ones will follow suit, keeping them safe from any reprisal from the Marines over there. Now these sentries are going to shoot at the Goliath. The reason for this, there's only 1 in range, so it's only going to get 2 dice. But the point defense drone will immediately activate and reduce the incoming dice by 2. There is no lower bound minimum, so this goes to 0 and it does nothing. But it does mean the Stalker can now shoot if it desires without being reduced by the point defense drone. So these sentries will be done. The Raynor's Raiders only have one valid target, and that is the sentries. The Stalker is still hidden from its path of shadows, and the Zealot is locked into combat, as so is Artanis over here. So the 5 remaining Raynor's Raiders will shoot at the sentries and try to wipe them out. This is hitting on 3s with Surge Light D3, and sentries are light, so they will get their Surge here. That is all but 2 hits. They didn't pop their Stimpaks this turn, so those 2 will remain misses, but these 2 automatically go through, and the sentries get to make this many saves. Now these sentries only have a 5-up armor save, so let's see how they survive this. They stop 2 of them, meaning they'll take 2, 4, 6 damage. They have 2 shield and 4 hit points, so 1 sentry goes down, and that will reduce them to 0 supply. That is the end for the Raiders. The final unit to go will be this sentry, who will shoot at the medic and lose this token. Now the reason shooting at the medic is so that the Zealot has a higher chance of killing more Marines without the medic interfering and healing them. So this will be 4 dice hitting on 3s against the medic, no surge because it is the wrong type. However, all of them hit, and this is 2 damage. So the medic has to nail 4 armor 5+. Unfortunately does not, and the medic goes down. Now the Terran are going to shoot the Marines into the Zealot. This is more likely to kill it than the melee will be, so they are going to take their shots. There are still 4 Marines with C-14 rifles, so that'll be 8 shots with Surge into this Surge Light. So this will be 8 shots hitting on 3s. With 4 misses and 2 surges, these go through, and the Zealot will get 2 armor saves. It will use the Forge to use ground armor and gain tough 1 for this roll. So if one of these fails, it gets to turn it into a success. So that one turns into a 6 and passes. And then it has 3 evade rolls to make because it is in combat. If it can make one of these, it'll survive, but there's still the AG-12 and missile launcher. So let's see how he does, saving on 5+. He saves 1 and goes down to 1 wound remaining. I'm going to roll all these together because they both hit on 3s and there is no surge that they can do against. So there's 2 dice from the AG-12 and 4 dice from the missile launcher, all hitting on 3s against the Zealot. He has to survive all of these. Not looking good to start with 5 hits. He has 5 armor saves, followed by however many evade rolls he has left. Armor. He stops 1 of them. He'll have to make 4 5+ in order to not die and contest that point. Unlucky. He goes down, giving that objective to the Marines. Actually measuring it now, the Stalker is just within 3, so it is currently contested as there is both 1 supply on that objective. The Protoss player will pass at this point. With the unit of Zealots dead, though they would have passed anyway, we only have the Marauders left who are going to shoot into Artanis. Now, they won't get any surge and Artanis will get his evade against this, but might as well shoot him and see if you can do some damage before the melee phase happens. The Marauders have 3 shots each from their K-12s. These are hitting on 3s with Surge Armored D3, but Artanis is not armored. So firing here, the K-12s into Artanis, looking for 3+. All but 1 hit. Now Artanis gets a 4-up armor save followed by a 5-up evade save. So here is the armor. Saves 4 of the 5 and gets a 5-up against the evade, which he fails, and he takes 1 more wound. Still has some left. Bringing Artanis to 8 wounds taken means he's only got 4 wounds remaining, but he is still kicking as best as he can. Now in the combat phase, Artanis is going to swing at the Marauders over here. He's got 2 dice using the piercing attack, so this is armored surge for D3, and it's for 3 damage each, so if both of these hit and go through, he'll just outright kill one of the Marauders. So hitting on 2s. Both of them hit, but only 1 surges, so the Marauder unit will get 1 chance to save this. They do have a 4-up save. They're not close enough for veterans of Tarsonis to proc, so on a 4+, one of them will survive. Which fails, and this Marauder is taken down. But since it's 6, 1 wound also floats over onto the other other Marauder, because the damage pool is not on an individual model, it is to the whole unit. So that Marauder is wounded, and will get a chance to swing back at Artanis. Now he does get 2 hits, but these are hitting on 4s because, again, this is Terran and they do not want to be in melee, at least not until Firebats come out.
Don't leave me
1
hanging.
hit does go through. Artanis will get to save on a 4 of his own, which he does, and he will be just fine. And nobody else is in combat, so we're just going to pick up these activation tokens and be done for the round. And here we are at the end of round 3. Now, this objective is contested between both players, so neither of them get it. However, the Terran will score 2 more victory points for taking down both the final Zealot and 1 Sentry, bringing both of them down to supply. And the Protoss will score 1 more as well from taking the single Marauder out, bringing the score to 4-4. And neither player will have the advantage going into next turn, so they will get to roll off to see who is first player going into the final round of the game. Now, in this round, this one does automatically activate, and Protoss have both Artanis and some Adepts over here protecting it, so the Terran are going to have to pull off some powerful moves to be able to stop the Protoss from claiming that objective this round. But an important role here, again, blue dice for Terran, red dice for Protoss, see who gets to go first. And the Protoss get the choice. They will keep the first player token and move on into the final round of the game. So the Protoss are going to start off by moving the Sentry over here, going to move into this space, stay within 3 of this objective here, but give itself a lot of shooting targets potentially. Even though this wall is going to protect some of the units moving around the board, the Stalker is size 3, so it can see right over it for the most part. We can maybe see how terrain works out if it goes that direction. But because they want to retain the first player, the Protoss are going to use Khalai again to double activate, immediately activating the Sentry right afterwards. Then this Stalker is going to just move up next to it and be able to help shoot these Marines. Its shooting attack isn't terribly good, but it's also supporting here with the hallucination bonus as well. Now, because it gets to move pretty far because the Sentry is by itself now, it moves 7 inches, so a good range of movement once you're down to the last model in the unit, which is really nice for Protoss in particular due to how fast they go down to 1 model left. And after that double activation, the Terran get to go. Now, possibly to the surprise of no one, the Raynor's Raiders are going to use the Raynor's Raiders card to do Ready for Pickup. This allows them to perform the Place 12 effect. So the first model is just going to pop to here, and as long as they don't end in engagement range, they can just be set up anywhere over here. So these Raiders are just going to come over here and put a lot of pressure on this objective. Now, taking non-lethal damage here is very risky because they could die from it, but it is very possible that having precision is going to matter a lot in the subsequent turns. So they are going to burn Orbital Command and take 2 points of non-lethal damage and hopefully get good value out of that precision before the end of the game. The Protoss get to go, and they really only have one thing to do, which is activate the Adepts. Artanis is going to retreat or disengage, but he is not going to do it just yet in order to see what the other Terran are doing first. But first, the Adepts are going to put down their token pretty close by so we can get a whole bunch of precision against anything that comes over here to contest this objective. And then they are going to try to skirt around here, move 5 around the corner,
Where shall we march?
and then just set up on this objective, turning this into a very brutal standoff for both teams. Then it is the Goliath's activation to go, and it is going to move around over to this entryway and try to help over here as best it can. Artanis is going to
Direct my
leave combat with the Marauder And because of his commander's special rule, he counts as 2 supply when leaving a combat. And he would be able to baseline because he is 1 and the Marauder is currently 0 because there's only 1 left in the unit. Now the Terran is actually going to, even though the Terran has 2 units left to activate, he's going to pass here because that will get him the first player token, and he's basically exactly where he wants to be with these guys. Even though this Marauder is not in range of the Adepts, it is in range of Artanis and the Stalker, and can assist against them as it wants to, so the Terran are going to pick up the first player token. Even though the Protoss have finished moving all their models, they have not taken the pass action, so this is a weird edge case where even though the Protoss is done going, the Terran will steal the token from them. And that does let them shoot right now in this phase. Even though these Raynor's Raiders do want to shoot before they go down, I actually think the Goliath is going to go first and try to kill Artanis and do as much damage as it can before everything gets locked up in combat and can't be shot anymore. Now, due to the way batching works, he doesn't have to declare who's targeting with all of his attacks until they have been rolled. So importantly, the Goliath is going to try to take down Artanis first, but he's going to hold on to his underbelly machine gun because it is piercing light. He's going to hold off to use that against the Adepts if he still can at the end. With 9 dice against Artanis with the autocannon, that'll be 5 hits against Artanis. Now this does not have surge, nor does it have multiple damage, so this is just going to be 5 regular saves from Artanis, which he whiffs all of them, unfortunately. And he will take 5 wounds and go down.
Poking me.
No hero play from Artanis. And that will put the rest of the attacks into the Adepts. The underbelly machine gun is Surge Light, so this will be 6 dice hitting on 3s with Surge. That will be 4 hits, one of which will surge right through, and the Adepts will get their 5-up save against the other ones. They do save 2 of them, take 2 damage. That will be 1 Adept gone, and 1 point of damage in the pool. And then in order to get the best use out of Surge, also going to shoot here at the Stalker with the Haywire missiles. Now these are Pierce Armored 3, so dealing 3 damage, and it is Surge D3. Because there is 1 sentry left here, it's going to, for 0 psi energy, use Hallucination against this sentry. So it will be able to have evade rolls against this attack, which will be useful because, again, these are 3 damage each from the Goliath into the sentry. 3 dice hitting on 3s, all hit and all surge through, so that evade is going to be massive. But unfortunately, the Stalker only has evade 6 up, so here's the shot at saving some of these. None of them stop, so that's 9 damage directly onto the Stalker. And because it has 3 shield and 6 hit points, the Stalker gets taken off the board in 1 volley from the Goliath. The Goliath pulling so much weight for the Terran forces right now. But now it's the Protoss' turn to go, and this is going to be an important role here for them as well. The Adepts are going to shoot here into the Raynor's Raiders. Now they have taken the upgrade that gives them 1 extra shot on their weapon, and they have taken the melee upgrade, which probably is not going to come in. But there are 9 shots, 3 shots each, and they are Surge D3 plus 1. So let's see how they roll against the Raynor's Raiders. Hitting on 3s, only 2 misses, but that's 3, so that's 4 dice automatically surge through. And the Raiders get 3 saves available to them. Saving on 5 pluses. And none of these save, so that is going to be 7 hits in total. Plus the 2 damage already in the pool is 9 damage in the pool. That is 4 of them and 1 damage onto the last one. Oh, actually, I forgot the Shade was here. So actually they get Precision 1, so one of these misses was a hit. Let's resolve that very quickly. That is another armor save. On a 5+, this last Raider survives. It is a 3, and the last Raider goes down. The Shade ending up being the very important thing that will score these Adepts the objective here. And with that, there's no way for the score to change, but these Marines are going to shoot at the sentry for some fun anyway, so we still have 4 C-14 rifles left. And these are Surging Light. 1 automatically goes through and 2 misses. So the sentry will get to make 5 armor saves. Stopping 1 and taking 4 damage, but 4 is exactly as much health as a sentry has. And it goes down. And with that, there's nothing left to shoot, there's nothing left to fight. There's only the scoring. So let's see how the final score turns out in this game. Here's the state of the board at the end of the game. We have these Adepts holding Objective 2. We have these Marines holding Objective 5. A Lone Marauder and Goliath out by themselves. This round, a Stalker and Artanis were taken down for the Terran, so they get 2 more victory points. The Sentry was also taken down, but it was 0 supply, so it doesn't count for a victory point at that point. The Protoss killed 1 unit in terms of the Raynor's Raiders, who are 1 supply until they're completely gone. So they go up. The Terran will pick up 3 victory points for taking the objective that was activated in round 3. And the Protoss will pick up 4 victory points for picking up the objective that was activated in round 4, which is objective 2 here. And that brings us to a 9-9 tie. A perfect tie for the game. And that is our very first game of Starcraft, the miniatures game, on this channel. Now there's some rules I missed. I could see a couple times where I should have maybe used hallucination or used stim where I didn't. And maybe that could have changed the outcome of the game, but we are currently engaged in the act of learning and the act of figuring out how to play this game. So I am very happy with a tie game that was exceedingly close, came down to literally the Goliath killing Artanis and the Adepts killing the Raynor's Raiders. I really like the Resonating Glaives upgrade on the Adepts. Even though they only got to shoot 1 time this game, it was very important, and being able to roll those extra dice was clutch, especially on top of their Precision 1 from their Shade, so they're a very useful little skirmish unit. But honestly, you just can't underestimate how good basic Marines are. Once you give them those weapon upgrades, and if you have a few more points to spend for frag grenades and slug throwers, they are a very serious threat to basically anything that's on the board. But I think the real MVP for me for Terran was the Goliath. Just absolutely did a great job. And probably for Protoss, I would have to say it was Artanis. Even though he got taken out there at the end, the threat that he exudes both for holding objectives and just butchering anything that he charges into is extremely high. And he ultimately was the thing that took down one of the Marauders, took out the medics, threatened all the Marines, and really forced the Goliath to focus in on him. Because the Goliath also had the capacity to maybe kill the Adepts, but it had to spend a lot more dice on Artanis to take him down. So tell me what you guys think. I had a lot of fun playing this game. I think both teams felt very exciting to play. I'm sure I could have played them better, and if you saw something that I misplayed or something that you think you could have done better than me, leave it down in the comments. I'm more than happy to chat about the game. Let me know what sort of things you're excited for in the game. We're going to do 2 more games. We're going to do all the non-mirror matchups, so after this we'll have either the Zerg versus Protoss or Zerg versus Terran. I'm not sure which way we're going to record yet. And then again, after these 3 initial videos come out, we're going to start to do videos with painted miniatures, because I know right now not everybody likes unpainted minis, but I just wanted to get these out as quickly as possible. I had a lot of fun recording this. I had a lot of fun playing both teams. I can't wait to play the Zerg as well. I can't wait to play with other people, hopefully, once I start to build a community around here and get other people that want to record videos with me. So look forward to more videos in the future. But until then, I hope you have a great time, and as always, stay cozy.